You are definitely not going to want to miss this episode, Mama, because we are talking all about hormones. If you've ever felt like your hormones are all over the place since becoming a mom, one, raise your hand. You are not crazy and you are definitely not alone. I see you. I'm right there with you. In this episode, I'm joined with Ashley Rocha, mom of two and founder of Ladywell, to dive into the hormonal roller coaster of motherhood. So, from postpartum to PMS to perimenopause. Ashley Rocha is the CEO and founder of Ladywell and a trained herbalist specializing in women's health. Ladywell gives women the tools to care for their hormones and well-being through targeted life stage supplements. Ladywell has helped thousands of women regain hormone balance, fix PMS, improve fertility, and gracefully navigate perimenopause to live pain-free, fulfilling lives. I am totally here for that. And we talk about so much in this episode. We talk about what's really going on when you feel mom rage, how to know if it's just stress or something deeper like PMDD, herbs, functional mushrooms, and natural tools for hormone support, and also the first three things you can do today to start feeling better. If you're feeling overwhelmed, burnt out, or just not like yourself lately, this one is for you. And be sure to check out the show notes because that's where you're going to find the links for Ladywell that Ashley has provided. And she's also sharing a 20% discount off Ladywell products with all listeners. How amazing is that? So when you are shopping Ladywell, use promo code VAL20 to get 20% off Ladywell products. Try them out. Let me know what you think. And I hope you enjoy today's episode. Feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and like you've lost yourself in the postpartum chaos? Struggling to rebuild your strength, heal your core, and feel confident in your body again? Hey mama, I'm Val, a functional sports dietitian, postpartum fitness coach, and a mama who understands exactly what you're going through. Welcome to the Strong and Nourish Mama podcast, where I help busy moms like you regain your energy, rebuild strength, and feel amazing through simple, science-backed nutrition and fitness strategies. If you're ready to go from depleted to strong, nourished, and unstoppable, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Yeah, I am so happy overall that I took Valerie's program. I gained so much from it, just learning what pelvic floor health really was. Really didn't know what it was. I'd seen all of these influencers doing these exercises, but ultimately never understood exactly what you were engaging and how to do it and how to apply it to my daily routine as a mom and also my workouts. But I had the labor and delivery of my dreams. It was everything I could have asked for. And now my overall pelvic floor health is amazing, considering that I no longer have any pain and I'm also just so strong. So I would highly recommend, if you are either postpartum or pregnant or just looking to, gain more knowledge about pelvic floor health, to join Valerie's program. I really think it's worth it, and you're going to have so much knowledge that's going to continue on past just the learning of the course.
That was Hannah, a mom who took the Restore and Rebuild Core and Pelvic Floor program last year. And to get more information on the program, go to wellnessbyval.com/program. Get more information, sign up. It's a 6-week group coaching program. And I can't wait to help support you on your motherhood journey, whether you're pregnant, you're postpartum, years out from having your baby. This program is for you. You can check out her full testimony, episode 38, where she talks about her dream delivery, going from a dream delivery to a strong core. Now, back to the show. Hi, Ashley. Welcome to Strong and Nourish Mama podcast. I'm so happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
I am too. I have so many questions. So let's just dive in. I want you to start with please sharing your story, your personal story, what led you to start Ladywell. I'm really interested about Ladywell, and how did your own experience with hormone dysfunction shape your mission?
Yeah, it's definitely a mission-driven company. I started Ladywell about 3 or 4 years ago now. I was started formulating a lot sooner than that, or a lot prior to that. But the reason why I started Ladywell was because of my own hormonal health journey. The moment I went through puberty, I was thrown into these cycles of just huge mood swings, depression, painful periods. I was taking like 20 Advil a day at my doctor's orders. And this went on for 2 decades. And whenever I went to my doctor, they're like, it's the same thing, hormonal birth control or SSRIs. And I tried a lot of different birth controls, and I knew I wasn't depressed because like the symptoms went away. So SSRIs weren't right for me. And then it really was in my mid 30s when I was trying to get pregnant. I was slow to get pregnant. I started putting the pieces together. I at that point realized I had PMDD, which for people who don't know what PMDD is, it's like PMS on steroids, really. It's dialed up emotional symptoms. So you'll have these like really big mood swings, easy to anger. You just really turn into a different person for that like 1 week prior to your period, a luteal phase, a month. And so I lost like all these weeks to just turning into this different person who I really wasn't. But going back to my story, it was my mid 30s when I was trying to get pregnant. And I was like, okay, I'm putting the pieces together. There's a hormonal imbalance at play. Like this just totally makes sense. I can't believe I missed this my whole life. But the information wasn't there. Nobody was pointing to that when I talked to doctors. Nobody was bringing that up, like how to manage your hormones or giving me education. And I'm a trained herbalist, so I know the power of plants. And since I wasn't getting the help with doctors, I started looking to the plant world. I was like, there has to be something there to help me balance my hormones, help me with my cycles, help me get pregnant. And I started going this like deep journey into different adaptogens, herbs, vitamins, just really diving into how to support my body through food and plants and plant medicine, herbs. And I discovered there's so many amazing herbs and plants that really support women's health, really help you balance your hormones, alleviate symptoms, help you like manage your mood swings. So I really went from having this like really bad PMDD that I've been suffering with to like 6 months later, after I've been taking these formulas, like really not having it very much at all. And then I eventually got pregnant. I have 2 baby boys now, and I have a lot more balance in my life because my hormones are balanced, right? Like I'm sleeping better. I'm not moody. Like I definitely have like some PMS symptoms now and then, but I know how to take care of my hormones and manage those things when they happen. And that's why I created Ladywell, is because I found these formulas that worked really well for me. And at that time, I was like piecing together like 20 different tincture bottles every morning, and it was cumbersome, right? And so I really simplified it. I worked with naturopathic doctors to come up with like a nice balanced formula that really ticked the boxes on what women need on a broad level, and simplified hormone care because it's really complicated. And I know that like I had the resources and understanding because I was being an herbalist to put together these plans, but most women, can't piece together like 20 different herbs. So creating a singular formula was really a game changer for me, just in terms of time management, but also for a lot of women to just simplify that process. And so, yeah, out of Ladywell, like I just saw such a need for plant-based formulas and just any kind of support for women's hormonal health, whether it be PMS, PMDD, fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, to perimenopause, because we're all on the hormonal health journey, whether we like it or not. And there's not a ton of resources out there. Women's hormones are not that well understood. Modern medicine kind of like ignored them for so long. Like most studies that were done, they removed female participants because female hormones are really throwing off results. So they just found women too complicated. And so a lot of modern medicine really isn't invested in women's hormones. And so we need, brands like mine and other brands out there that really support women's health from different perspectives.
Thanks for sharing that. I think when so many women like yourself are experiencing those different symptoms, whatever they may be, that's what's often thrown at us in conventional medicine, unfortunately. Like, oh, here's some SSRIs, here's some birth control, here's a Band-Aid. And you're like, okay, but this isn't like fixing the root cause of what's going on. And I love that, especially with your background as being a trained herbalist, you're able to kind of take a step back. Okay, how can I use plants to be able to improve hormonal function so that you can get pregnant? But like you said, from puberty to when we're postmenopausal, right after being perimenopause, we're on this hormonal fluctuation all the time. And to be able to use plants, herbs to support that, I think that's amazing. How long has Ladywell been established?
We launched go to market about 2 years ago with our products on the market, but we started formulating many years prior to that, just
Yeah,
the R&D phase. Yeah.
that's awesome. And you have,
And what we really do is I think this is important. We look at women's health from a lot of different viewpoints. So we're bringing in traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, then Western medicine as well, clinically proven plants that have, clinical studies behind that. And just looking at women's health and like creating these formulas for a lot of different lenses, because I think that's when you really find the sweet spot and create something powerful. Like a lot of brands out there might just like look at Western medicine and like create something that's not like, borrowing on all these different ancient like wisdom. And I think that's really important because there's a lot of great plants out there that might not have clinical studies, but there's a lot of great plants that do have clinical studies. And we typically use those because we know that they work.
and people have been using them for thousands of years to
Yeah.
help with the symptoms or anything that's going on related to what you discussed. So then you created Ladywell, you created these tinctures, and you started taking it, and you've noticed that it helped with your symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're able to get pregnant, and you have two boys. That's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I want to say when it comes to changing your hormones and your health and fertility, you really do have to look at your life from all your life, your life, your nutrition, your lifestyle, supplements. You can't just like take a supplement and then continue to not sleep well,
Exactly.
eat McDonald's or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely like have to address everything in your life to improve your hormones. But for me, supplements are like almost like a hack. Like if we, in a perfect world, our nutrition system in America, we'd have like really great fruits and vegetables that are packed with nutrients and we wouldn't have endocrine disruptors and toxins and everything. But the reality is our food isn't that highly nutrient dense. There's like microplastics and everything. There's endocrine disruptors and so many things. It's really almost impossible to avoid. So supplements really help you get your nutritional stores up. It helps you like remove toxins, helps you manage stress because we all have stress and it's just almost impossible to avoid. So supplements are like a hack in a way that helps you get to the where you're supposed to be. Like if in a perfect world we didn't have stress, our food system was perfect, there's no microplastics, which is not true. So
Yeah, I think it's going to be a while till that
yeah,
happens.
we're not going in the right direction with
Yeah, yeah,
it.
exactly. No, supplements can be very supportive, especially when you're using it in a way like with the correct dose, the type form, with the right plants to be able to help improve fertility, to be able to help decrease symptoms, help with detoxification. Like, let's get rid of if we have too much estrogen or if we're in that shift in perimenopause where hormones are going up and down, they can be so supportive. So,
Yeah.
I love that. And I like that you brought in like a holistic standpoint of it's not just about the supplements, right? Because if you're not sleeping, if you're sleeping like crap, if you're eating like crap, the supplements aren't going to really do anything. But they're going to be supportive if you already have those basics down. I think that's
Yep.
super important for moms to understand.
And we can't all do everything perfectly, right? It's definitely a give and take. So yeah, some days you're going to eat bad, but in general, it's like if you're just trying to do better on a higher level, that's great.
Yeah, I'm all about balance. How can we try to be as balanced as we can when it comes
Mhm.
to everything within our life, especially as busy moms? And how can we support that with food, lifestyle, and supplements? And you
Yep.
talked about stress. And I think as a mom, right? Everyone has stress, like you said. It's inevitable. It's gonna come. But when you become a mom, let's talk about mom rage because so many moms experience this. I was talking to a girlfriend about it when my little girl's 18 months. I told you that before the call. And, but like it's my first baby, I'm thrown into it. And you have all of these things being thrown at you in your nervous system. You're not sleeping. And all of a sudden you're like, what are these emotions? And we were talking about like how real, like that frustration and that anger is. Can you tell us what really is happening hormonally when we feel this way?
Yeah, mom rage is often driven by hormonal fluctuations, stress, and exhaustion. It's just like a combination of a perfect storm of things. And I feel like we all experience mom rage at some point, like where we flip out on our kid and then we like immediately regret it. But it feels good in like that second, which is like, I think a common thing just for people in general. But your estrogen and progesterone really plummet after birth. So you have it's irritability and emotional instability. And estrogen really helps regulate serotonin, which is the feel-good transmitter. So when it drops, you're easily feeling feelings of frustration, sadness, and that can intensify. I mean, and then there's different periods of postpartum, right? Like I was just talking about like immediately postpartum, you had a baby, but I feel like mom rage really comes in like in those toddler years, at least for me. Like when I was in my postpartum period, after immediately having a baby, like there's definitely a hormonal roller coaster that's happening. But you're more like exhausted and stressed out, and not the anger doesn't come in because you're not triggered by like a toddler that refuses to put their shoes on and stuff like that. But as moms, we're always constantly being berated with stress and a lack of sleep on some level. There's the lack of sleep in the newborn age. And then when you have toddlers, depending on what kind of toddler you have or what kind of kid you have, there's still going to be a lack of sleep in that type of area. And, there's things that you can try to do to help you avoid things like high cortisol or adrenal fatigue, which will contribute to hormone imbalance. There's healthy habits like, getting the right sleep at night. I think a lot of things that moms do in the morning is like we immediately start drinking our cup of coffee, like the first thing when we wake up. And it's really hard, like to not do that. But like when you drink a cup of coffee on an empty stomach, especially like something like black coffee, it spikes your cortisol and it's like really bad for your hormones. It's a really bad way to start your day with your hormones, with their cortisol spiking. So try to not to do that. Eat something before you drink coffee. Manage your stress with things like adaptogens. So within all our supplements, we add adaptogens. And what adaptogens do, they help your body's reaction to stress. So like I said, it's so impossible to avoid stress in life, but we can manage our reaction to it. So adaptogens help your body build resilience to stress and help your body react to it. So if stress comes in your life, you kind of just roll with the punches instead of like clenching and having that physical and emotional reaction. And that's going to be a way healthier way to manage stress and just live life in general. And then blood sugar is really important. I think it's hard to like make sure that you're feeding yourself as moms because you're constantly taking care of other people, especially in those, beginning months. I found it like impossible to eat. Like I think the first year was pretty hard, like just like to eat regularly, but you want to make sure that your blood sugar is stable and that you're not having blood sugar crashes because that will, increase that ability to, overreact. And it is all about like managing our hormones in a way and setting a good example for our kids, I guess. It's like you need to take a moment and kind of like have maybe some breathing exercises. It's totally okay to like put your kid in the room and leave the room if you feel like that's going to happen. But, really for me, what I do is like I definitely take adaptogens. It helps me so greatly with my stress. And then making sure that you're balancing your hormones by, making like working out is great for your hormones, eating right, and just doing a lot of good lifestyle, hormonal health tips like that.
I'm glad you brought that up, especially with the adaptogens, because you're right, it's going to help us become more resilient. And it's amazing how much it helps. But also the coffee, the caffeine on an empty stomach is huge because that's where you may have it'll like worsen those symptoms. I've definitely experienced that. If typically I try to have my coffee, I drink black coffee and I try to have it after breakfast. But there may be some mornings where I'm just like, I just want to sip. But if I like drink too much, I'm like, oh my, I definitely feel it. And then your blood sugar goes and it affects the cortisol. And then of course that's gonna definitely negatively impact stress, how we react to it in the mom rage. And I also like how you said if you just need to put your toddler in a room and just like go, or you go in a separate room and you're just like, okay, let me breathe. Let me just focus, kind of come back to yourself. I think all of those tips that you said are going to be super helpful ways for moms to manage stress, whether they're with their toddler, they're at work, they're out and about, and to be able to help their emotions and therefore their hormones. So
Yeah. And I also do think it's important that we realize that all of us are going through this.
Hmm.
I feel like we feel bad if we have a moment of mom rage and maybe we're alone in this, but I found that having a community of moms with similar kids at a similar age has been one of the most helpful things for me because you start to share stories and you realize we're all like almost our kids are like almost identical the way they act and our shared experiences are so similar that it's almost like a manual in a way. It's like it's so clear that we all are experiencing the same thing, but it's really easy to feel like you're the only one with a kid that's throwing a tantrum or you're the only one overreacting to your kid's tantrum. But you know, we all have a really the same experiences, and having other moms to talk to about it is pretty helpful, I think.
Quick break, mama. If you're tired of feeling disconnected from your core, weak, or leaking when you laugh, sneeze, chase your little one, or work out, it's time to change that. The Restore and Rebuild Core and Pelvic Floor program is open and it is designed to help you heal, strengthen, and feel confident in your body again, all with expert guidance and support every step of the way. You don't have to figure it out alone. Join us at wellnessbyval.com/program and start feeling strong from the inside out. Now, back to the show. Is very helpful. It's big because, like you said, you're just like, am I going crazy? Like, am
Like,
I
is
the
my
only
kid the
one?
only nightmare?
Yeah, exactly. I remember after I had my baby girl, it was still warm, and I started a walking group with local moms and some of my friends, and we were talking about, okay, because they were all around the same age, which was great. And we were talking about different things like, okay, what is this going on, or breastfeeding, or not sleeping. And a lot of the times it was our first babe for most of the moms. And it was just like, oh, okay, I can breathe. I'm glad you're experiencing the same thing as me. So I think that's important too, to be able to have that community of moms, especially with kids the same age, because you're not alone. You're not the only one experiencing these intense emotions, the mom rage, the frustration, or the stress, because yeah, we're pulled into so many directions, and it's hard. It's definitely hard, and it has an impact on our hormones. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Now, you said adaptogens. You explained what they are. What are some examples of adaptogens?
I think some great adaptogens for moms and just women in general. Ashwagandha. Well, ashwagandha is a great adaptogen for everybody. Ashwagandha supports stress resilience, adrenal health, and mood stabilization. It's a plant. If you Google it, it's just a beautiful like leafy plant. Shatavari is great for women's health. It's a powerhouse of hormone balance, lactation support, and reproductive recovery. So it's nice for that like immediate postpartum period. And then there's things like lemon balm, raspberry leaf, those tone the uterus, support hormone balance. And then there's functional mushrooms, which are really great. We have poria mushroom in our daily hormone balance formula. And once again, all these formula or all these adaptogens are really helpful with stress. And they also help with sleep too. Sleep is something that we struggle with as moms. You know, even when we do have an opportunity to get a good night's sleep, it's like our antennas are always up, like just ready to go at any time. At least that's how I feel. Like even when I'm staying in a hotel, I'm like I still can't sleep through the night, and it's very frustrating. But when I do notice a difference if I'm taking my supplements regularly. I have adaptogens going on because I can sleep better. And I also highly recommend all women take magnesium. Most women are deficient in magnesium. Yes, you can get magnesium through your food, but most of us aren't. So supplementing magnesium is just a really easy way to help you sleep better and just get your magnesium needs in there. At Ladywell, we have a spray, which you spray on the bottom of your feet. It's like an oil spray, and it just helps you sleep better through the night. It's like a really easy way to integrate it. It's like a nice nighttime ritual. There's other brands that have like powders that you can mix in water. I used to do that, but I had a hard time because then you had to pee so much at night. So I definitely like this spray on the feet better. It's more soothing and just works better with my lifestyle.
It's a good nighttime sleep hygiene routine to help down regulate the nervous system. I like that.
Yes.
Magnesium is my favorite. I love magnesium so much.
Yes.
And I haven't taken some of the other adaptogens that you were mentioning. You said, what was the second one you said? That's really great for that early
Oh,
postpartum. Yeah, that's
Shatavari is
awesome.
great.
So
Yeah.
do you have it in both capsule and powder form?
Yeah, for our daily hormone balance, which is what I recommend to most women for general hormone care and just hormone upkeep, we have ashwagandha in there and then shatavari. And our formula is really comprehensive. So there's like 20 ingredients and it combines amino acids, vitamins, functional mushrooms, and adaptogens and super herbs all into one formula. But yeah, I have it in a powder form and then I have it in a capsule form, depending on what you want. A lot of women need flexibility in their lives, so you can, use one day and use the other day, or some people don't want to swallow capsules. So yeah.
It's nice to have that variety. So
Yeah.
would that be something that women would take during pregnancy as well, or is there one specific formulation specific for pregnancy?
Well, for pregnancy, we have a prenatal, really high quality prenatal. And the thing about pregnancy is they'll never study plants, herbs, pharmaceuticals on a pregnant person. It's not ethical. So during pregnancy, only thing you should take is a prenatal, unless your doctor is recommended you take something else. Like your doctor should be guiding you during that time. But our prenatal is great for during pregnancy. And really, the prenatal vitamin, I take it postpartum. You still need your prenatal postpartum. It's really great to continue to get those nutrient stores because you're so depleted. And then you also want to start taking your prenatal, in advance of even trying to get pregnant, like 6 months in advance of that too. So I've been literally on a prenatal for like 5 years now, just because I have two kids and just riding that through all those postpartum and, periods. And so very helpful.
It is. You're right. You're so depleted. It takes like 2 to 3 years to fully recover physically, nutritionally. So it's good that you're continuing to take the prenatals. I'm the same way because especially if you're wanting another babe, you're wanting
Yeah.
to try again, it's good to have that. So it would be good to continue the prenatals and then kind of throw in some adaptogens if you're postpartum, right? So
Yeah.
if you're postpartum, you're taking your prenatals because you want to continue to get those nutrients and then being able to add in the adaptogens throughout too.
Yes. When I was postpartum, which I still am, I continued to take my prenatals and then I started working on my daily hormone balance. Hormone balance, of course, is so important postpartum. It's a hormonal roller coaster. Like as I was saying, your hormones drop. It takes like 6 months to get back to really where you were. And it's really dependent on whether you're breastfeeding or what your body makeup is and genetically. So it can be a long ride, and knowing what to expect is really important so you aren't surprised. And also just having tools like the daily hormone balance to help you through those times and get you back on track. Because your hormonal health is like so important to your overall health. Your hormones are really crucial. They're like the CEO of your body. They're just running all your systems. I like to think of like hormones as the internet of your body. So if the signal is going in and out, you won't be able to send emails and messages across your body and things will just like stop working properly. And you'll start to feel those things like whether it's fatigue, brain fog, mood swings, cramps. There'll be all these different little things that can go awry. And so if you get your hormones in order and you're doing general hormonal upkeep, things won't snowball until a point of just like adrenal fatigue or burnout. You'll just be in a better spot to manage your health in general. And in our society, we're all set up, our healthcare system is set up to like wait until you're sick to fix the problem. Like wait until you get cancer to go to the doctor. And that's, pharmaceutical company makes money. And that's really what it is like in America. But we really need to be proactive about our health. So if we can make sure that we don't spiral into this hormonal disaster before, and take care of our own hormones, take our health into our own hands. Like that's definitely the way to do it.
Definitely. I totally agree. Being able to listen to those symptoms, like what is the body trying to communicate with me? What is the body trying to tell me? And what does that mean? So, like, and when you're talking hormones, I guess we should have started with this. We're talking all hormones. We're not just talking sex hormones. So, we're talking cortisol that your adrenals are pumping out. We're talking sex hormones, of course. We're talking about thyroid hormone. We're talking about it all. And so, there's this beautiful balance with how much and when they're being released. And so, you're saying that when there's dysfunction, we may whether it's too high, too low, burnout, which is going to deplete nutrients and hormones. And that's what typically where moms are, right? That's going to affect the symptoms that we're feeling, whether it's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting heart palpitations or skin issues or my hair, or I'm getting really anxious or low mood or all kinds of different symptoms, being able to support that, understand what the body's communicating with you, and then support it with these helpful nutrients as well as plants. How long have you been an herbalist? I think that's so cool.
I probably like 8 years.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And that there's a lot that goes into that because
Yeah.
all the different types of plants and then what make the different parts of that one plant. What would you say would be your favorite herb, plant, adaptogen? One of them.
Well, I think chasteberry is a really great herb in general for women's health. It feels like the broadest one that helps women on a lot of different life stages. We have chasteberry in our formulas. It's also called Vitex sometimes. It's just a great herb for women's health in general. And also like being an herbalist, I think it's really interesting because plants work better when they're paired together. It's called herbal synergy. So if you bring like chasteberry, dongquai, and you mix these herbs together in formulas, they bring out different aspects of these herbals that you might not get if you just took chasteberry alone. So that's why it's hard for okay, if I say, for example, like chasteberry is great, and a woman goes to the grocery store and buys chasteberry by itself, that won't be as powerful as buying a formula that's, thoughtfully formulated to bring in different qualities and herbs that really enhance each other. So, shopping for herbs or supplements, look at brands that have like these really comprehensive formulations because that's where you'll get the most bang for your buck and making sure it's working really well. Because a lot of brands it's expensive to make really high quality supplements. So a lot of brands will just throw in like an herb or two with like a vitamin and call that the supplement. And that's fine. But I think you get more for your money if you are buying a really comprehensively, smartly formulated supplement. And then you can take less of the supplements, right? You're not stacking like 3 different bottles or 6 different bottles or whatever it is. You're just taking one thing. And maybe that one thing costs a little bit more, but you're saving money by not using supplements that don't work as well and taking less in general.
Yeah, the combination, I'm glad you brought that up, is super important. The dose, the type. So like with
Yes.
talking about magnesium, like magnesium oxide is super cheap. So someone may be like, oh, great, like I'm taking magnesium, but we're not really absorbing it that well. So like the type of magnesium is important. It may be a little bit more expensive, especially when it comes to herbs.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, pairing it together. So you said that Vitex, Chaseberry, it's helpful across all hormonal periods. So from puberty,
Yeah.
conception, pregnancy, what exactly is it doing? Is it balancing specific hormones, or what exactly is Vitex doing in those different situations, or is it pretty generalized?
Well, it's a powerful herb that helps with hormone balance and particularly in supporting women's reproductive health. But not to say that like if you're in perimenopause, you don't care about reproductive health, it's still helpful during those phases. It helps stimulate the pituitary gland, which increases the luteinizing hormone LH and supports progesterone production. And these are key for hormone balance, especially in the second half of your cycle. So it's helpful for people with conditions like low progesterone or estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance is what I ended up having. I just had too much estrogen and my body wasn't getting rid of it each month. It wasn't going through my poo, it wasn't being excreted, it was just being recirculated in my body. And this is super common. This is a lot of the reasons why women have PMDD, PMS, some fertility struggles as well. So it helps, clear out that extra estrogen each month, and it'll help with reduce those PMS and PMDD symptoms because of that. It also helps regulate the menstrual cycle. So your menstrual cycle is like your fifth vital sign. If your cycle is off, like you get random periods, or like you don't get your period at all and you don't know why, that's your body telling you that there's something's off in your body, right? You should really look into that. So it helps regulate the menstrual cycles because you should be having regular cycles or somewhat predictable, and that shows you're in a good, healthy state. It supports fertility. So even if you're not trying to get pregnant, you're trying to actively avoid getting pregnant, but if you want to get pregnant one day, like you want to be supporting your fertility from the start, because once you try to get pregnant and your hormones are off balance or you haven't been taking care of your fertility, could be really hard to get pregnant. You don't want to be in a spot like that. And then also fertility is like a pinnacle of health, right? If you're fertile and things are working well, that's a sign you're doing pretty well and you're healthy.
So
And
that's
then, as I said, like perimenopause, it does help with perimenopause too. So it helps with like hot flashes and mood swings and sleep disturbances. So, like as I was saying, it's like really helpful for all those life stages.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And yeah, we have to, even if we don't want to get pregnant, we still want to make sure that our menstrual cycle is functioning adequately. We're releasing the hormones when we're supposed to, we're getting rid of them.
Yeah.
I like that you talk about that with estrogen dominance because it is something that I see a lot too. And you can notice it with even without testing, but you can see it with specific symptoms of are we fully able to excrete the estrogen, and you said out of your poo, and that's because it's fat soluble, right? So we have to poop it out basically. So that's why bowel movements are important. And I like that you said the menstrual cycle is a fifth vital sign. I don't think a lot of women realize that. A lot of the times they're trying to, oh my gosh, it's my period again. I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah. I get
Yeah,
it.
that's how a lot of women are. But it's like, hey, no, we need our menstrual cycle. It's giving you a lot of information. So
Totally.
thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So, if a mom is feeling completely exhausted and emotionally drained, what are the first three things that she can do today? There may be, of course, other things that we may need to be implementing and thinking about, but what are the first three things that she can do today to support her hormones and her health?
Yeah, so I would make sure that you're prioritizing blood sugar balance. So eat protein, healthy fats, and fiber at every meal to keep your blood sugar stable and to prevent energy crashes. I mean, it's the same thing that applies to your kids. Like when your kids' blood sugar is low, they like have a tantrum, and you don't want the same thing to happen to you. So, practice what you preach. Make sure you're feeding yourself as much as you're trying to get ahead of your kids' tantrums and feeding them. Like skipping meals are not your friend, and relying on caffeine or sugar for energy, that's not a good thing. So try to avoid that. You want to optimize your sleep. So take magnesium glycinate before bed. And that's like the spray I have at Ladywell. Definitely recommend that. Make it easy. So it helps you with relaxation and then hormone balance in general. Magnesium helps you with hormone balance. So once again, we want to be practicing good hormonal balance hygiene, just ensuring that you're protecting your hormones at every stage you can. And then do things like avoid screen time before bed, just so you can get like a good night's sleep in. And then the last thing I would say is support your nervous system and lower stress hormones. So this can be done through taking adaptogens, as we're talking about. Like I definitely recommend everybody takes adaptogens, especially moms. But then also you can do things like making sure that you're getting like 10 minutes of good sunlight and fresh air and taking like 5 to 10 deep belly breaths, like doing some practices like that don't take up a lot of time because I know we don't have a lot of time, but just can help you recenter yourself. So that combined with our adaptogens, I think it's so easy to do and takes so little time, but also can be very powerful.
Okay, so the three things to help us when we're feeling super exhausted, emotionally drained, balanced meals. So making sure we're getting that protein, healthy fats, complex carbohydrates, and avoiding caffeine on an empty stomach.
Yep.
And then you said two, optimize sleep. So good sleep hygiene, adding in magnesium. I really want to try that spray. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's great.
That's going to be awesome. And then number three, supporting your nervous system and doing all of these things, of course, are going to help when we're exhausted, we're emotionally drained, but they're also going to be supporting our hormones so that we become more resilient and we become a little less exhausted, hopefully.
Yeah.
We're just able to be balanced, especially depending on where you are in your hormonal journey, right? Whether it's puberty or you're pregnant, postpartum, perimenopause. I think all of those are super helpful and things that are practical strategies that moms can actually start implementing right now, which is amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. Is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners?
No, I would also like to say it's important to track your cycle. That one's also helpful to know where you are, just so you can predict maybe mood shifts and all that kind of stuff and optimize your scheduling for that.
How do you, what do you do to track? What do you recommend, I guess, to track cycle? Your cycle?
I use a cycle tracking app on my phone. That's the easiest way for me to do it. I used to write it down in books, like journals. I think that's helpful for some women who have the time to do that. But yeah, even just basic cycle tracking on your phone just alerts you to what phase of your cycle you're in. So I know a week before my period, that's when I'm going to be more introverted. I might have a mood swing, like to go easy on yourself and just not plan like maybe a big event during that time. So it also is just like really, it's really insightful to know where you are in your period or your cycle to help you manage PMS symptoms. You have that kind of stuff. So like I never knew where I was in my cycle early on in my life. It was always a shock to me, like when I got my period and like when I was having these mood swings, like I didn't even realize they're coming. And once I had them, I was confused. So just having that insight into your body is just really helpful.
So then you can actually put the pieces together and
Yes.
understand like, oh, I'm in my luteal phase a week before my cycle when I'm getting these symptoms. For the next cycle, what are some things that I can do that are going to be more supportive? And that's something that I've noticed too, is in my luteal phase. I need to make sure that I'm blocking my calendar to make more time for myself to kind of chill out. Whereas if I'm in that follicular or I'm ovulating, I'm able to like do all the things. So I think you're right. It's very important to be able to track your cycle, know which phase you're in, what the phases mean, and kind of connect the dots with any symptoms that you're experiencing.
Yeah. And then if you have that data and you want to go see a doctor about your hormonal health, like you'll have that data to bring to them. And it's going to be really helpful.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I think moms are going to love this. I'm so excited to try Ladywell, and thank you for all the work that you're doing to be able to support moms and women and our hormonal health. I think it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for having me. And I created a discount code for your audience. So you can use Val20 to buy any supplement on the website for 20% off.
Awesome.
You can find us at getladywell.com. We also like to we're trying to educate women on hormones. Hormonal health is complicated and can be confusing to navigate. So check out our Instagram, TikTok, social media accounts, Facebook. Our handle's at getladywell, and we post tips and, fun videos there too. So check us out.
I really like the videos that you guys post. I'm going to be posting all of the links and the code in the show notes. Thank you so much for being able to offer that to our audience.
Yes.
So if you guys have any questions or you want to check it out even more, give Ladywell a follow and try out their products and let us know what you think. Thanks so much, Ashley.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, Mama, I hope you loved today's episode. If it resonated with you, would you please take 30 seconds to share it with another mom, a mom who's looking to make healthy eating and exercise easier, because we need that. And if you haven't yet, I would be so grateful if you could leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts. It truly means the world to me and helps the show reach more amazing moms like you. All right, time to chase my toddler around. Stay strong and nourished, and I will be back on Monday with another episode. Talk soon.